Greetings from the throne room of Paliano on the plain of Fiora, where Brago did nothing wrong. My name is John from the MTG Thoughtcast, and this is Pack It In, where we're going to open up a booster pack and get as many cards as we can into your commander decks. Today, we have Conspiracy Take the Crown. Conspiracy 2, or Conspiracy Take the Crown, whatever your preference is, the second release of the Conspiracy line of products. Conspiracy was and is a very favorite of mine. Oh, goodness me, there we go. Conspiracy was a very fun supplementary product that was released for basically multiplayer play. It was kind of like a draft experience trying to incorporate getting multiplayer pods and commander folk into playing limited environments as well. This was like, well, a bit before Commander Legends was ever really a thing. This was really fun. Its whole idea between this one and the original Conspiracy is that you would do a draft, and certain cards and game effects took advantage of the fact that you were drafting, and then your games that you were playing, you were in multiplayer pods of 4 people playing head-to-head. And the setting it took was a very fun mix of like backstabbing, betrayal, and high city politics run by the shadows and assassins and things of that nature. Very, very fun environment. And so this is the sequel one, Conspiracy Take the Crown. Brago has been assassinated, and now the vie for power in the high city is taking place, and you, the drafter, meet up with all of your favorite friends trying to get that throne, I suppose, or take the crown. Monarch is a very big part of this as well. This is the first set that Monarch was a part of. It wasn't originally a commander thing, in case no one's ever known that before. This set is a bit older now, so you may not have even realized that Monarch never originated from a commander product. It originated from here. So let's see if we can find some cards like that. Raise Dead, a black mana for a sorcery, returns target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Great. This is a really good rate for these kinds of things. We have better, not removal, I was going to say, reanimator kind of spells. This going right to hand is not reanimation per se, but sometimes you just got to get a creature back. Caller of Gales, a blue mana for a 1/1 Merfolk Wizard. 1 and a blue tap, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Useful in multiplayer. Again, you can basically give evasion to anything that you are looking to, either your own creatures, your opponent's creatures, if they're swinging at each other. Oh, here's a Monarch card. Lovely. Crown Hunter Hireling. 4 and a red for a 4/4 Ogre Mercenary. When it enters, you become the Monarch, and it can't attack unless the defending player is the Monarch. So lots of cards like these gave you the Monarch on enter the battlefield, or at other particular conditions, like I think some of them like gained it maybe back for you at your upkeep or something to that degree, or when you do a specific action that it wants. So in the case what this guy wants to do, you end up with this relatively large beater that gives you the Monarch, and as long as you are the Monarch, he has no reason to go after your opponents. But then if somebody else claims it from you, he's able to get in. Monarch is passed around in 2 manners. Either someone else plays a card that says they gain the Monarch, or they deal combat damage to the player who currently is the Monarch. And this is a fun friend that you would be able to use then to be able to reclaim your Monarch status. Garlic. Garrulous Sycophant? Oh, that is a pile of words. I've never been able to pronounce this one correctly. Garrulous Sycophant. At the 2 and a black for a 1/4 Human Advisor. At the beginning of your end step, if you're the Monarch, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this is a Monarch payoff. As long as you can hold on to the Monarch crown, this thing every end step is going to be draining each of your opponents. Not the most incredible form of drain, but it does gain you life back as well. Those are certainly useful. Reviving Dose, 2 and a white for an instant. You gain 3 life, draw a card. It's worse Revitalize. Don't play this. This is bad. Strength in Numbers. 1 and a green for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gains trample and +X/+X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Ooh, baby, yeah, if you swing in with a wide board of tokens and they block, like maybe don't even go to block any of them at all, and then you just do this on one of those attacking tokens, and now suddenly it is as wide as many tokens as you swung with. It's certainly a very cool combat trick. I wouldn't say it's a favorite, but if you are doing a wide token strategy, it is certainly something you could use. Now here's a favorite, God's Willing. A single white mana for an instant. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, and you scry one. Great! This is multifunction. If you need this to be a protection spell if someone is attempting to blow up an important piece of yours, then you give it protection from whatever color that is currently being targeted at your thing. This can also be used offensively as well. If you're going up against an opponent who is running a particular suite of creatures that all share a particular color, and you need to get something of yours through, protection does also mean that creatures that share a color with whatever thing that you have declared as the protection of can't be blocked anymore. So this is a fantastic double-edged offense and defense style card. Very cool, this one. Repulse! 2 and a blue for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand to draw a card. Again, multifunction cards like these are phenomenal. You can tell that they sort of tried to include as many of these types of cards in this draft environment here because you are playing this as multiplayer Magic. So in the case of Repulse here, this can be used defensively to bounce away an attacker that's coming at you, or defensively of returning a creature of yours back to your hand. And it replaces itself, so it draws a card. And then, I guess, yeah, that was my point, that this can be targeting either your opponent's creatures or this can be targeting your creatures, and it just straight up replaces itself. Add instant speed as well. It's really, really cool. I know some newer, the Frog decks as part of a Bloomburrow could definitely use something like this as well. Very, very cool. Here's a classic, Voyaging Satyr. 1 and a green for a 1/2 Satyr Druid that has a tap ability to untap target land. Very useful. The floor on something like this is that you produce a mana off of a basic land, and then this untaps that said basic land, and then you can tap it again for another form of mana. It's a nice little a little trick that is something you learn becoming a more experienced Magic player. That is that once you've tapped a land for mana, if that land becomes untapped again during your turn, you can use it again for more mana. Some people don't realize that at first. It's not like a one and done kind of deal. And then once you start getting into the broken lands, like things that produce you 2, like the Ravnica bounce lands, you float 2 off of those, this untaps that, and then you tap it again for another 2 mana. Great! You got even anything else more degenerate, like Nykthos, Baldur's Gate, Cabal Coffers, Gaia's Cradle, things of that nature. You have anything like that that produces an excess amount of mana, and then you untap that land with this. What a play. It's very, very cool. Palace Sentinels, 3 and a white for a 2/4 human soldier that when it enters, you become the monarch. That's it. It's a good blink target, but you need to get the monarch down in play. Here you go. That's one way to get it. Looks like we're into our uncommons now. Windborn Charge. 2 and double white for a sorcery. 2 target creatures you control each get +2/+2 and gain flying until end of turn. Another interesting sort of like combat-y trick kind of thing. There are certainly decks that would want to utilize being able to have multiple creatures targeted at the same time. Heroic and the new Valiant that the mice of Bloomburrow all care about, if you care about targeting. Nadu, if you're doing Bant, I suppose. We had to slip Nadu in here at some capacity or another, target it and another creature, and now both of them are triggering the Nadu-y thing, so... yeah, I guess. I don't know. You could be doing worse targeting effects, I suppose. Here's a really interesting equipment. Spy Kit. 2 mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has all names of non-legendary creature cards in addition to its name, and it equips for 2. I don't know how super useful the name changing ability becomes when it is related to Commander, but for the sake of doing this in like a drafting environment, cards that you can draft during the set are actual conspiracy named typed cards. And most all of them, you have to name a specific card prior to the game beginning. If you pick a particular name of a card and then throw this onto a creature, you can now change that creature's name to whatever you need it to be. And this is sort of not really like much too terribly different than the name stickers that we had introduced with Unfinity as well. It's just something that allows you to modify the name of a particular creature of yours to everything else in the game that isn't non-legendary. It's just super weird. There hasn't really been anything printed yet that can really utilize something like that, but I'm sure we'll see something someday. It's just going to be really, really cool when it pops off. Haven-Ghoul Vampire, 3 and a red for a 2/2 vampire, that when it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's growing itself incrementally. You're going to end up getting counters on this faster from the creature's dying clause, because if you'll notice, that does not say creatures you control, and it also does not say tokens. So anything on the board bites it. You sacrifice a creature token into a sacrifice outlet, bam, he gets bigger. Did a opponent block any amount of tokens going into combat, bang, this thing gets bigger. Like, this is a 1/1 counters machine if you can get it working in such a way. I wouldn't say it's necessarily any better of like a seize all the death triggers than like say Blood Artist. So it's no Blood Artist, but if you need a big dumb beater that cares about 1/1 counters, here you are. But speaking of big dumb beaters, we've hit our rare Dragon Lair Spider. 2 red, red, green, green. 5/6 spider with reach that when an opponent casts a spell, you create a 1/1 green insect creature token. Yeah, I mean, if you can land this thing, it is a big body with reach, so it'll be able to block most relevant flyers or even relevant things on the ground as well. This thing is going to put up a defense. And if they choose to not start doing swinging at you, they instead just trying to do like spells as well, you're going to get 1/1 bodies out of this as well, which can also be used for chump blocking. Pairs really well with this Haven-Ghoul Vampire, you know, you make 1/1s and then the 1/1s die and then this gets bigger and then this pops out more 1/1s. Is this any better than Arasta of the Endless Web? It's very difficult to cast, but I'm a fan of this spider. I've played a lot of this in the draft environment when this was coming out. It's certainly neat, but I guess if you're doing spiders, I suppose. Although it's the wrong colors for spiders, though. Spiders are mostly in Golgari. You would need to be at least Jund with maybe like Thantis, the War Weaver, perhaps, but I'm not sure. We're going to breeze by these conspiracies real fast, though, just because, or I guess just the one, I suppose. We have a construct token here, and then this conspiracy. You can't play these in Commander, but these are really, really fun if you were to make some kind of, like, Commander cube of some kind, and then you can draft these off to the side. Most all of them have something on here called Hidden Agenda. You start the game with a hidden name underneath it, and then they all do a specific thing. Conspiracy 2 did this neat thing of having some conspiracies be colored, that you could have some colored mana go into their abilities. Totally fine. Again, not commander playable in any capacity, at least under normal circumstances, but if someone were to craft up some kind of like commander cube and these become draftable alongside with that as well, it's really, really fun being able to just modify and change how your game is played as you play it. A very interesting collection of cards we have here, again with Conspiracy being focused on multiplayer format. There's a lot here that would actually still to this day be quite playable when talking about commander purposes. if I were picking something out of this immediately that I would play, as much as my love Dragon Lair Spider is really, really interesting, I would probably be playing the Voyaging Satyr over it, honestly. Voyaging Satyr just has enough practical use across a huge variety of decks, being able to just, at minimum, untap a basic land. But then if you start including any kind of non-basic shenanigans that produces you above 1 mana for the rate that it can do, the acceleration that Voyaging Satyr can give you is phenomenal. This is, again, not to discredit the Dragon Lair Spider is a bad card. If you can make the mana work, you just sit here behind this ridiculously large body that's just going to perpetually pop you out 1/1s as need be. Otherwise, then, the Repulse is really good. God's Willing is fantastic. I would even go to say that you could probably play Strength in Numbers as well, for the reasons, like I said, is like all of these kind of utility things, if you've got the right builds, they are flexible. You can hit multiple people with them, so whatever the circumstances are given, you can send the targets wherever you need be to make it most useful for your game. And that has been Conspiracy Take the Crown, one of the fan favorite sets of all time, one of my favorite sets. I really wish they'd bring us back another Conspiracy set. We've got a dose of it, kind of, with Battle Bond. Maybe I'll find a pack of that one day. Who knows? But you'll have to stick around and find out to see what I open up next time here on Pack It In. Thanks for watching.